Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, your online brother Jaspas, and welcome back to the vlog. Today, a little bit of a low energy video because of the incident that has happened recently that caused me to go to the hospital. I'm not 100% sure if many of you guys know about it, but for those of you who do, don't worry, I'm much better now. And for those of you who don't know about it, here's a screenshot of an Instagram post I made some time ago about my trip to a hospital. Don't worry, everything's okay. I'm released, I'm at home right now. And for the most of it, I'm much better than I was on that day. I figured some of you guys may be concerned and worried about me and my well-being, so I decided, hey, might as well make a vlog episode, a story time video about what happened. And because of that, I had to write down notes about what happened, because if I were to tell this story off the top of my head, I'll get all the dates wrong and stuff like that. Alright, so the first thing that happened that seems to be sort of related to the incident was on 8th of October. So on the 8th of October, I was skating from East Singapore to Central Singapore. I was trying to do one of those like marathon skate sessions, which is something that I've missed a lot in the time that I have, in the recent years. Keep in mind, I have like 4, 5, 6 years of experience skating, and long distance skates isn't really a problem for me. It hasn't been a problem for a really, really long time. So what I did was I grabbed my new longboard at that point of time, my short longboard. It's an 80cm longboard, really, really weird setup. Anyways, I grabbed it and I was skating, making my merry way. I had chosen to skate at about 3 a.m. because I wanted to make sure there wasn't any traffic and that the trip would be a relatively cooling and undisturbed one. And for the most part it was. In fact, when the problem incident happened, it was about 30 minutes into the skate. There were no cars behind me, no cars in front of me. I was just skating on the road since there was basically no cars around. And somewhere along the road there was a crack. And normally it wouldn't be a problem for me to go over that crack, but I misjudged the speed, or perhaps it's because the new short longboard was way lighter than the previous longboard. Funny sentence. Because of that, I sort of hit into it and couldn't get over the hump. As such, I fell face first. I fell facing forward and landed on my two palms, which is not a good way to land. Either way, I landed, palms hit the ground, and then I didn't put my full weight on the palms because that's stupid and you're going to hurt yourself. It's a sort of slapping action to hit the ground, which is how I was trained to fall down in the military in Singapore. Thankfully, because of that, I didn't seem to have hurt myself, but my water bottle, which was plastic, hit the ground, smashed and sort of scattered across the ground. I picked it up and threw it away after that. After that, I continued skating for another 2.5 hours. I didn't think there was anything wrong at that point of time, and to this day I'm not 100% sure whether there was a direct cause of the ambulance and hospital trip that happened 1 week later. But as far as what the doctors believe, it seems like they are most that seemed to be the thing that they were most concerned about, whether or not I had any falls in the recent past. I'll listen to the doctors because they spent 4 or 5 years studying their science, and yeah, I guess that's probably what caused it. Alright, so now fast forward to about 3 days before the hospital trip, the ambulance incident, and I was just lying on my chair and watching some shows, and I sort of fell asleep. And about 10 minutes later I woke up and I'm like, oh man, I fell asleep. I didn't expect to fall asleep, so I tried to get up very quickly. And in that moment, for some reason, in my lower back, there was this sudden dull pain, and I didn't think anything of it at that point of time. I was like, must have stood up in the wrong way. Not the first time I'm feeling, slight pains from standing up the wrong way. I just figured like, it's just one of those. It's gonna be fine. Unfortunately, it wasn't fine. At least not the way I thought it was gonna be. That dull pain followed me from that day onwards, and it stayed in my lower back, and it wasn't pain enough for me to like keel over and like lie on the floor, but it was like just an annoying pain in the lower back. I have to say, I found it really, really annoying. Not sure how many of you guys have felt this before, but it was on the 14th of October, and my main thought process was like, well, it happens. What you gotta do about it? One day later, 15th of October, I think that was the next Friday. I headed out to try to get a massage because I personally really enjoy massage. Just the way a good masseuse can sort of like get into your muscles and hit the right nerves and stuff like that. It feels really good. I like it. On that day, however, it was slightly different because for some reason, as the masseuse was like pressing the back at the lower back, normally after a certain amount of pressing, it sort of becomes less and less painful and things become okay again. It's a thing that I sometimes use to deal with like knots in my back or aches in my body. However, this specific time it wasn't really going away. In fact, the pain was slowly growing and it was getting worse and worse. At the end of the massage, it was 90 minutes. I think I was feeling slightly better, and that's mostly because of the adrenaline and endorphins of pain kicking in and making me feel better. But once I headed back and had a rest, then it was real bad. It was real bad. I had to sort of like walk around slightly slouching like an old man. The way like certain old men, when they walk, instead of walking straight like this, they bend at the hips. And yeah, I was getting slightly worried at this point of time. The very next day, I headed out. I met Chanel and I headed out, and we were heading for some badminton. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure why I did it. Perhaps it's because I think at some level it's because I didn't want to feel useless all week, and also at some level it's because on that Saturday, it wasn't very painful. It was the pain was sort of not as bad anymore. So I just headed out, and I wanted to join her for some badminton with some of her friends. And granted, don't get me wrong, I wasn't like jumping and running and badmintoning like a badminton player. I was just moving my right hand and just rallying with the other people around. And on that day, it was perfectly fine. In fact, I think I played quite well, all things considered. Then after that, I headed over to her place, and then I was really tired and I was really fulfilled after playing badminton. I did some stretches, like the yoga cat stretch or something like that. Did some like side-by-side stretches, basically stretching this part of my body. And after that, I went to sleep. Everything seemed to be... Oh yes, and I took 2 painkillers. I took 2 Anorex pills, and then I went to sleep. Everything seemed fine. It seemed like, my body is recovering. nice. That night though, once the painkillers sort of wore off a little bit, that's when things got really, really serious. I was in this huge amount of pain. The entire torso area was in a mind-wracking amount of pain. I tried to get up from a lying down position like that, and I couldn't. And I was starting to get really, really worried. I think it was like from 4 a.m. until 8 a.m. I was awake in pain and I couldn't go back to sleep. Finally, something like 8 a.m. I managed to fall back to sleep. When 9 or 10 a.m. came around, I was awoken again because of the pain. And so I decided to try to stand up and go to the toilet, I couldn't get up at all. Like the previous nights, I could still roll on my side like this and then use my hand to sort of like push myself up from lying down position. 10 a.m. Sunday morning, I couldn't get up at all. The back was the thing that has been in pain for the last 2 days or so at this point of time. And it was so, when I used my hand to touch it, I could feel how hard it was. Almost like the muscles were just cramping up and flexing to the maximum of its ability. And I was starting to get really worried. And then suddenly, the front muscles around the abdomen area, they started cramping out as well. And I couldn't turn. I couldn't like turn my body at all. And everything was in pain. It was in so much pain I audibly like moaned in pain. I was really, really struggling. At the point of time, I started wondering like, oh shit, what if I'm getting paralyzed, or what if like something is wrong with my body now and I'm paralyzed? And I swear this is true. The first thing I thought of is like, oh shit, I haven't made the Jaspas cut tutorial yet. After that I started thinking like, oh, there's so many new Cardistry things I want to do. There's so much Cardistry I want to do. Fucking hilarious. But yeah, I was there sitting in pain. I tried to slowly rotate my body without twisting my torso at all. And if you don't understand how difficult that is, give that a try. It's borderline impossible. You sort of have to push yourself here and rotate your whole body all as a single plank. It's messed up. I managed to turn myself over, get face down position. I slowly brought my knees underneath my center of gravity like this. And then I was in a kneeling position, in the cat stretch position again. And this time I tried to lift up my body like I have done so many times before. And instead, I absolutely couldn't. The moment my body went from, let's say this is the ground and I'm lying with my head over here. The moment I lifted my body up to like 45 degrees, then there's a sharp pain in the bottom of my back. I was freaking out. I was 100% freaking out. I was not thinking anymore, and I was really, really worried. At this point, I finally gave up, and I told Chanel, like, hey, help me call 995, which is the ambulance number, the when you need help, the emergency number. She passed me my phone, called 995. I talked to the guy. I was in huge amount of pain. I gave him my address. I told him what the situation is. I poured my heart out to this person on the other side of the phone line. And the scary thing was that because of coronavirus and all these problems happening around Singapore right now, they said that the nearest emergency vehicle, the nearest ambulance, wasn't going to be very, very fast, but told me that she has dispatched it. Don't worry, it's coming, it's going to be fine. Knowing that professionals were coming really helped. It helped me calm down a little bit. Then I started wondering, like, alright, what do I need to prepare? I asked Chanel to sort of help me up to get to the living room so that, you know, they can carry me out easier. Unfortunately, that wasn't possible. The moment she tried to lift up my body, she sort of like slung my hand over her shoulder, and she tried to lift me up. Immediately, lightning sharp, white hot pain throughout the whole body, through the whole torso, messed up. It was horrible. So in the crowd, in the sort of kneeling position, I sort of like crawled my way out of the room. I reached the living room and I sort of like gave up. I was like, okay, they can carry me out from here. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but they're gonna carry me out from here. It's gonna be fine. So there I was, lying in the middle of the living room, wondering whether or not my cardistry career is over. Is everything gonna be fine? How are things gonna be from now on? Am I ever gonna be able to do cardistry again? As you can see right now, thankfully my hands are still fine. Three nurses, that's not the word for it. 3 ambulance people, emergency help people. I don't know what it's called. 3 of those people came down. They were fully wearing like personal protective gear, and they came in and they're like, hey Jaspas, hello sir, we're here to help you, we're from the SCDF. And I don't know, between like Chanel freaking out and I'm freaking out and you know, the people at her place were freaking out, it was nice to see a face that wasn't freaked out. And he was like, alright, are you in a lot of pain? Do you need a painkiller? I was like, yeah, just give me a painkiller. If you can put me asleep, just put me asleep. I can't take this anymore. I was completely out of it. I was ready to take anything he gave me and to just go to sleep and wake up in the hospital. Unfortunately, he couldn't do that because he still needed me to be able to verbalize and answer questions. So what he did is he took out this green color breathing apparatus, sort of like, you know, those asthma things, but instead it's more it's a breathing thing. Turns out that's like methoxyflora was what's inside the thing, and essentially it was a breathable painkiller. So all I had to do is put it in my mouth and it would take away the pain. If you use it, it will last for about 20 minutes worth of pain-killing effect. So I was over there just breathing on that willy-nilly, really happily. Turns out you can get high on that. I felt a little bit loopy. It was kind of... They got me onto some kind of canvas cloth stretcher thing. I'm not 100% sure whether or not there were bars on the side to sort of like support the shape of it, but essentially they first tilted me over like this. I was in a huge amount of pain, going and such, but they slid it underneath me and then picked me up and then brought me out to the walkway outside the house. And that's where there was a stretcher, no, one of those rolly things where you can sort of like push a patient down a hallway. At this point of time, when they lifted me up, I was so high. At that point of time, it felt super bizarre. It felt like I was floating off the ground and just onto the thing. Then they brought me down to the first floor of the building and put me on the ambulance. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Singapore ambulances are super cool. The moment I got onto it, I could smell the sterile air condition and I felt much safer. Also, they had some kind of special device inside that sort of lifts you up off the ground of the ambulance and sort of like isolates you in position so that when they make sharp turns or they go over bumpy grounds, you are not really affected. You're sort of just isolating above the ambulance as it is just rocking around you. Chanel accompanied me. She brought shoes for me. Bless her, she's so sweet. Instead of going to the absolute nearest hospital, we went to the hospital that could provide the best care for me. I.e., I think we sacrificed like 1 minute or 2 minutes of journey to go to a hospital that had much less patients than the other nearer hospital. Once I was in, the local nurse doctor talked to me and sort of like got my particulars and basically did all the paperwork for me. It was a really, really fast process. I think from getting into it until seeing an actual doctor was like 10 to 20 minutes. I got pushed down some hallways and stuff and got placed in a ward with a waiting room with about 6 other people. Most of them were really old, but I think I was the only young person there. So I was there holding on to the breathable anesthetics and just trying to take the pain away. Another 5-10 minutes passes. The doctor comes up to me, asks me what happened, how am I feeling and how much pain I'm feeling. And right after that, the first question he asked me is, have you had a fall recently? And I told him that, and then he was like, okay. So he couldn't immediately give me a diagnosis, but what happened was that he merely ordered 2 x-ray photos. Nurses came very quickly and they sort of like just pushed me a few hallways down to an x-ray theater. Go in, x-ray number 1, beep beep, immediately. And this was super cool because I think 10 years ago I got an x-ray and it took like an hour to get what the x-ray turned out to look like because they had to process the film on that day. Immediately the person walked out from the next room and he's like, okay, not bad, okay, looks good, or something to that effect. I can't remember very well because I was quite high at that point of time. But he said, can you turn to your side? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna turn to the side. Thanks to the painkillers, I wasn't in that much pain anymore. So I turned to the side. They took another x-ray and then they're like, okay, looks like no broken bones. I was like, what? You can tell immediately? Did we just go from film camera to digital camera in the x-ray world? That's super amazing. Either way, they sent me back. And the doctor, I think after another 10 minutes, he took a look at the photos that were sent over from the x-ray lab to the waiting area that I was in. And he came over and said, like, you probably have slip disc. And I asked him, what can I do about it? And essentially he said, all you can do is take painkillers and physiotherapy. Yeah. That's all the solution there is to it. There's no antibiotic, there's no medicine, there's no surgery. It's 100% just take painkillers and let your body recover itself. At that point of time, I was freaking out. I was like, am I going to be paralyzed? Is this going to be fine? What's going to happen to me? If I can't do NDO, what can I do? What kind of jobs can I do in a lying down position like this for the rest of my life? After that, then he calmed me down. He explained like, oh no, your body will get better. Your body will get better and it'll fix itself. Don't worry. It's not a life. It's not one of those kind of like problems that will never resolve itself. In fact, it was gonna resolve itself quickly. Thank God. And this might sound weird, but at that moment, I was filled with a drive, with a desire to do cardistry that was so strong. It was absolutely insane. Thinking that I might be paralyzed. I think most people in that situation would be thinking about maybe walking and running and being with people they love, and being able to hug and touch the people they love. I can't believe that my first thought was cardistry. Like, I've been doing cardistry for a really, really long time now. Sometimes doing cardistry stresses me out because, it's part of my work and I feel the need to be good at it. I didn't think that not being able to do cardistry would have broken my heart that much. But it did. And at that point of time I was very sad, but if you look at me now, I think you can tell that I'm extremely happy. I'm extremely happy that to know for sure once again that I still love cardistry and that it's still very much a part of my identity, that I would have been heartbroken if I couldn't do it anymore. Anyways, after that, the doctor gave me more painkillers. I got an injection in the butt to sort of like take away the pain that's happening, coursing through my torso. He prescribed to me 3 different types of painkillers: Panadol, another one that I don't recognize, and one that is taped onto my back right now to sort of take away the pain. And thankfully, over the next few days, my core has started to feel way stronger. The muscles at the back don't cramp up and hurt anymore. The first few days after I was released from the hospital, I slept here instead of my bed, which is nearer to where the camera is right now. I slept here, and thankfully, despite my parents' worries, thankfully I didn't have another like resurgence of pain and not being able to move again. I've been doing a lot of stretching exercises. I've been trying my best not to have high impact movements, so a lot of like slow walking, and I'm trying to get better. But thankfully, thanks to the CDF, the people from the ambulance, the doctors, the competent doctors of Singapore, and Chanel's cool-headedness in like getting me to the hospital and stuff, I think like my torso is much better now. In fact, I don't even have that dull pain anymore most of the time, except for when I get up wrongly. I made this video just to make sure that you guys know what's going on with my life. I didn't want you to feel like your online brother died or anything. So yeah, That's the explanation for it. Out of all the pain and the negative things that I could have taken away from this whole incident, I'm very happy to know how much I love Cardistry. And I think I found some like drive to produce more Cardistry content again, thanks to this incident. So yeah, thank you guys so much for leaving comments on that post on Instagram if you did, and for those of you who didn't even know this happened, well, now you know. Please look forward to future Cardistry content coming from your online brother. I have so many things that I want to share with you guys. Thank you all. Love you all. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye bye.